How is it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech, and today I'm gonna answer one very interesting question. How long do iPhones actually last? So 2, 3, 4, 5 years or more? So this is especially interesting if you're thinking about buying a new iPhone and you are already concerned on how long it'll last on your hands. Or maybe you already have an iPhone and you're just curious, how long? So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I have to tell you that Apple won't disclose this information, of course, and there's nowhere you can simply get this information as easy as that. So as I said, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it doesn't really work like that. So what I'm gonna tell you here is based on over a decade of experience doing this, using iPhones and creating videos for you. Okay, and of course, getting a ton of feedback on comments on Instagram. So trust me, it's a huge database that we have created here on Then About Tech over, as I said, over a decade. Okay, so you can expect on your first year of ownership, so you just bought a new iPhone, it's brand new, you open it up out of the box, right? You can expect on this very first year of ownership to have a perfect iPhone. It's gonna work perfectly, it's gonna work as it was intended, and it won't give you any headaches, no problems, you won't feel anything out of the ordinary. So the experience you're having on those very first days as you open it up, you're gonna have that experience throughout the very first year. You won't see any problems whatsoever. And it's no coincidence that Apple will, of course, give you a 1-year limited warranty. So, of course, what Apple is telling us right there is that on that very first year, it's pretty much 100% sure you won't see any problems. That's why they give you the 1-year warranty, because they know nothing bad will happen there. So then, very first year, no brainer, no headache, no problem. But of course, then it comes the second year, and by default, you don't have a warranty anymore. Of course, you can get Apple Care Plus and all that, but I'm talking about like standard, right? So then second year of ownership, second year of using your iPhone, that's when you're gonna start feeling that your iPhone is getting a little bit older. Okay, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's older, I'm not saying you have to replace on the first year, nothing like that. Please hear me out, okay? But on the second year, you will start feeling some things different happening. So then, for example, you will start feeling some slowdowns on some apps. So they will take a little bit longer to open up and do some tasks that were just faster before, right? Same thing with sometimes unexpected shutdowns. So your iPhone will just turn off out of the blue when the battery wasn't supposed to die, right? It happens as well. You may see apps crashing and you may see other problems as well. And most of those problems are actually related to the battery itself. And that's why on this very second year of ownership, that's when you're gonna start feeling the need to recharge your iPhone more often. So maybe twice a day or even 3 times a day. And all those other issues that I mentioned, they are also related to the battery, to the performance of the battery. Because when the battery gets older and it starts to get really older on the second year of ownership, that's when it just won't deliver the same performance as it used to. So then, as I said, apps will slow down and sometimes crash, and generally it's because of the battery, because since it's degraded, it won't give you that performance anymore. And when apps or other normal tasks of your operating system demand a little bit of a peak in performance, then the battery just can't keep up. And that's why generally you're gonna feel like your iPhone is getting slower on this second year, and that's due to the battery. If you take a look on the second year of ownership, on your maximum capacity, right, under your battery health, you probably see it's gonna be around 80%. Of course, it's gonna depend a lot on how you use your iPhone. So sometimes it'll be a little bit over 80, around 85, and others below 80%. And that's completely normal. So then, by the end of the second year of ownership, that's when you need to pay attention to your battery and you need to really make a decision. Are you planning on using your iPhone more? So 3 years, 4 years or more, or are you already planning on replacing your iPhone? Because this is very important. If you're still thinking about keeping your iPhone, and that's completely fine, and I actually do recommend that you do that, my recommendation is replace the battery. When you replace the battery, you're gonna give a brand new life to your iPhone, because all of those problems, they just won't go away, but they'll get much less frequent, and you won't be needing to charge your iPhone every 3 hours anymore. So as I said, it's a no-brainer. It's a good thing to do to replace your battery when you are in the second year, towards the end of the second year of ownership. All right, now we have to move on, and we have to talk about 3 years using your iPhone, 4 years or more. So then 3 years and more. And that's when it starts to get a little bit tricky, because that's when you generally have two other big concerns when using your iPhone for that slightly extended time frame. Okay, first we have to talk about the processor. That's right, we talked about the battery, right? And assuming you replaced your battery and you're still using your iPhone, great. But then we have to talk about the processor, because that's when it starts to show its age. So let me give you an example. Let's think about the iPhone XR and XS. They use the A11 Bionic processor, and when they were released, they were running iOS 12. Great. But then Apple released iOS 13, 14, and so on until now, where upon the recording of this video, we are on iOS 17. And as you know, they're still compatible. So they still run the latest update. They are running iOS 17. And the thing is, iOS evolved a lot. It now has a bunch of new features. It's much heavier, but the iPhone XR and XS, they're still using the same processor. It's right there inside the phone. It didn't get upgraded or anything like that. It's still the A11. So as you can imagine, it's gonna have quite of a hard time running iOS 17 compared to iOS 12 that it was designed to run. Of course, it's still designed to run, but it's gonna get much harder. Same with apps. So imagine the apps we're using like 5 years ago, and imagine the apps we're using right now. They're much heavier with many new features, and of course, same processor, so it's gonna have a much harder time running. So then even if you replace your battery when you are using your iPhone for over 3 years, you're still gonna have quite of a hard time running the operating system and running apps and everything like that. So you can expect still some slowdowns in performance. Just can't be the same as it was on the first year of ownership. And remember when I said that it was starting to get tricky? Yeah, because we have another problem as well. And that has to do with parts, components, and features of your iPhone starting to show problems and defects and sometimes breaking. So on the first and second year, it's very unlikely that something will not work or break on your iPhone. But on the third year going forward, sometimes Face ID will stop working, or some of your speakers, or maybe the microphone, especially what's external to your iPhone because of water damage and of course dust and so on. Sometimes the screen will have problems. So again, your iPhone will start to get older, and then some parts may have problems. Same goes with water resistance. You can be sure, and that's 100% sure, after 2 years or more, you can't really trust your iPhone on water anymore. Even if it's graded, right, over many meters for 30 minutes or more, you can't ignore that, because the seals and all the rubbers and everything that do create the water resistant, they get old, they get dry, and they simply don't work anymore. So then that's what you have to pay attention to and keep in mind. Of course, the longer you keep your iPhone, so 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, the longer you keep it, the more likely it will be that you run into those issues. And of course, your iPhone is gonna get slower and everything that I mentioned before. Oh, and by the way, I have an extra tip that's super interesting, okay? So we're talking about iPhones slowing down, right? And running slow and feeling old. And sometimes this feeling of slowness and sluggish and everything like that, they may happen even on new iPhones. And I have a dedicated video here on the channel where I explain you how to fix this issue. So even if you don't have an older iPhone, even if your iPhone is new, and of course, if your iPhone is older as well, this tip is for everyone. So take a look right here where I show you how to fix iPhones that are running slow. And I can already give you a spoiler, it has to do with your storage. So go ahead, take a look there, it's super worth it. All right. Okay, so I know that many of you guys are still here in the end of the video, still waiting for a number, for a specific number, not a generic answer and explanation, in detailed explanation like I gave you, but you want a number. So how many years will it last? So of course, it's gonna depend a lot on how you use the iPhone, how the person will use the iPhone, but I can tell you that until 5 years, you can use the iPhone no problem. I mean, I talked about all the problems you may have and everything you need to pay attention to and all that, but you can still use your iPhone 5 years every single day using it and still use your iPhone okay. It's still gonna get software updates, apps are gonna be compatible, and so on. After 5 years, it starts to get very difficult because of course you're not gonna get iOS software updates anymore, and many apps won't be compatible with your iPhone either. All right, and please keep in mind, I'm talking about using the iPhone for all those years, not buying a new iPhone that's some years old. Okay, I'm talking about really using it. And then after 7 years, like, only the brave, you know, like, it's gonna be super tough to use. So using a device for over 7 years is gonna be super hard. You can still use it, but I'd say 7 years, that's it. That's the maximum you can use an iPhone. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video as usual, guys. Bye-bye.